What happens to you when you die, if the Greeks were right? Not a light, not a tunnel, a country, a mapped country with rivers you can name, a ferryman who charges a fare, a dog at the gate, and a king who almost never speaks. The Greeks drew this map over 1,000 years. Homer drew the first roads, and later poets added the gates, the judges, and the courtroom. Tonight you walk all of it, from your last breath to the last river. Because in this story, you are not the hero. You are the newly dead. This is what awaits you in the house of Hades. It begins in your own house. Your family closes your eyes. They wash you, dress you, and mourn you loudly, so the whole street knows a soul is leaving. Then someone slides a small silver coin into your mouth. The oldest poems know nothing about a coin, but for centuries of real Greek funerals, real families pressed real coins into the mouths of the people they loved, and grave diggers still find them today, resting where the tongue used to be. It is not a gift, it is a fare. Then the lamps dim, and a god is standing beside you. Hermes, the guide of souls, the one god at ease on both sides of the door. He walks and you follow, and the poets say the dead follow him squeaking, like bats deep in a cave. The road goes down, it ends at water. 5 rivers wrap the country of the dead. The Styx, the river of hatred, so feared that the gods themselves swear their unbreakable oaths on its water. Acheron, the river of woe. Cocytus, the river of wailing. Phlegethon, a river of fire. And a 5th, quiet one, waiting at the very end of this story. At the bank, an old man waits with a narrow boat. Charon. Homer never mentions him. He arrives centuries later in vase paintings and plays and never leaves again. And on the vases he is no monster. A worn old boatman in a rough tunic and cap, leaning on his pole, waiting. He will not row you across out of kindness. He takes the coin. Now look at the ones left behind, the unburied, the drowned that no one found, the soldiers left on lost fields. They wait on the bank uncounted, and the boat never comes for them. That is why burial was sacred in Greece, not sentiment, passage. Bury me, a dead friend begs in the oldest of the poems, so that I may pass the gates. You have the coin, you cross. On the far shore stands the gate, and at the gate waits a shape the dark keeps rearranging. Cerberus. The poet Hesiod gave him 50 heads and a voice like struck bronze. The vase painters could not fit 50 heads on a jar. Most of them managed 2. The later poets settled on 3, and 3 he has stayed. But what the old poem actually says about him is worse than any head count. He is friendly. To you, arriving, he fawns like a puppy, ears low, tail sweeping, delighted, because every newcomer is welcome here. Take one step back toward the river, though, and the wagging stops. The hound of Hades devours the ones who try to leave. The door of death opens in one direction. A singer once played him still, and one hero in a lion's skin dragged him up into the daylight, bare-handed, and those 2 stories are famous, precisely because it never happened again. Past the gate, the road forks, and someone must decide which fork is yours. In Homer, judgment is almost funny. A visitor to the dead sees King Minos holding a golden scepter, hearing cases, while the dead crowd around him arguing. Eternity, and the Greeks imagined the dead still suing each other. Later Greeks turned it into a courtroom for your whole life. Plato names 3 judges sitting where the road divides. Rhadamanthus judges the dead of the east, Aeacus the west. Minos takes the hardest cases. And Plato adds the detail the rich must have hated. You are judged naked. No robes, no crown, no strong young body, no hired speech. The judges look straight at your bare soul, where every act of your life has left its mark. The soul cannot dress up, and it cannot lie. 3 roads leave that crossroads on the Greeks' finished map. 1 gray, 1 golden, 1 that goes down. Almost everyone takes the gray one. In the oldest poems, the Meadow of Asphodel is the address of the dead, which is to say, of nearly everyone. Pale flowers to every horizon, the color of dust and moonlight. No fire waits here, and no bliss either. Just the shades, drifting among the flowers, gray and quiet, and thin as old memories. Because that is the price of this meadow. Down here you lose your wits, your voice, yourself. One living visitor found his way down, a sailor trying to get home, and the dead could not truly speak to him until he fed them the blood of a sacrificed ram. One drink, and his own mother knew his face again, for the length of one conversation. The greatest warrior of the Trojan War walks this meadow. The visitor congratulated him on ruling among the dead, and the warrior cut him off. I would rather be alive as a poor man's hired hand, he said, than rule as king over all of this. The Greeks looked straight at death, and what they saw was not torture, it was less. Endlessly, quietly, less. There is a golden road, and the oldest poems are honest about who gets to take it. Menelaus, the Spartan king from the Trojan War, is promised that he will never die at all. The gods will carry him to the Elysian plain at the edge of the world, where there is no snow, no storm, and no rain. Only a cool west wind off the ocean, forever. And the poem gives the reason without blushing, not because he was good, because he married Zeus's daughter. In the oldest map of paradise, you get in through family connections. Other poets, just as old, sang of islands of the blessed where the great heroes feast. Still a birthright. It took later Greeks to redraw the map. One sang of trees that blaze with flowers of gold, and the mystery cults went further, whispering that the pure and the initiated could earn a place there too. Paradise became something you could deserve. It stayed something almost no one got. The 3rd road goes down, and the Greeks measured exactly how far. Drop a bronze anvil from heaven, Hesiod says, and it falls 9 days and 9 nights before it strikes the earth on the 10th. Drop it again, down through the earth, and it falls 9 days more before it reaches Tartarus. It is not a dungeon under the palace. It is a second sky, pointing the wrong way, fenced in bronze. The gods walled it as a prison for the titans they overthrew, and later poets sent the gods' personal enemies down to join them. Tantalus stands in a pool up to his chin, and every time he bends to drink, the water drains away into the mud. Fruit hangs just over his head, and every time he reaches, the wind lifts the branch out of range. Sisyphus shoulders his boulder up the same slope forever, and forever, at the crest, it rolls back down. These are not thieves or murderers. They are men the gods had trusted face to face, and who betrayed them. In the old poems, this pit is not where the wicked go. It is where the gods put the people who made it personal. Above it all, in a palace of cold stone, sits the king you have been walking through this whole time. Hades, brother of Zeus. When the brothers overthrew their father, they shook lots to divide the world. Zeus drew the sky, Poseidon drew the sea, Hades drew the dark, and went down to it without protest, and stayed. He is the only great god who almost never leaves his kingdom, and almost no city in Greece built him a temple, because there is no point in praying to the one God who never changes his mind. The Greeks feared his name too much to say it. They called him the Unseen One, or Pluton, the Wealthy One, Lord of the silver in the mines, and the seed under the fields, and the dead under their stones. Beside him sits his queen, Persephone, the stolen girl who ate the seeds of his garden and became the dread lady of this whole country. For part of every year she returns to the sunlight, and her mother lets the world turn green again. This kingdom holds one marriage at its center, and half of it is longing. And near the palace waits the last river, Lethe, the water of forgetting. The later Greeks added it to the map, and it is the most merciful and the most frightening thing here. Drink, and it all goes. Your name, your street, the face you loved most. Most souls drink. It is easier. But some Greeks went into their graves carrying instructions, hammered into thin leaves of gold. Do not drink at the first spring, the gold leaves warn. Ask instead for the water of memory, and tell the guardians the password. I am a child of earth and starry heaven. In the country of the dead, the one treasure worth smuggling past the guards is memory. There is no devil in the Greek underworld, and nothing tortures the ordinary dead. What awaits you in Hades is forgetting and being forgotten. That is what the coin was for, and the rites, and the poems. A Greek lived so that someone would still be speaking his name 3,000 years later. You are watching this. You know their names. It worked. If you want this myth waiting for you tonight, hit save.